Hey everyone, I'm Kyle Shorn. I'm with Atlanta Fine Homes, Sotheby's International Realty, and I'm based in East Cobb, Georgia, which is part of the North Atlanta Metro. And it was interesting. I saw on CNBC yesterday that um, about 10% of the homes in our market here in Atlanta are coming off the market or being delisted, and that was number one in the country. And so there have been a lot of questions about what's going on in the market. What do you see? And I've had an active spring. Been, it's kind of worn me out a little bit, but it's been tough, a lot tougher than it has been. And I just share a quick story from my experience on Tuesday of this week. Today is June 5th, so I'm talking about June 2nd. And going on Agent Caravan. Now, what Caravan is basically open house real estate agents. We have it every Tuesday, and the purpose of that is, to introduce the house to the agents in the area, but also to get feedback on things like condition and price, right? So I went to four houses that were on, and I think the reason I'm bringing this up is I think it's a good indicator of what's going on in our market, right? And so one house specifically that I went to was on a lake, and it was in really good shape, and it sold, I think, in 2018 or 19 for like 675,000. It was on the market for $1,775,000, right? And it's probably, I don't know, 4,500 square feet with the basement, and it is on a lake, which here it's not really a lake; it's like a reservoir, but it was on a little finger that wasn't exactly beachfront property on the lake, like it was on a tributary that goes to the lake. Now, the whole thing there, right? The house is in decent shape. It did have like vinyl siding, a little bit smaller. But think about that, like over $1 million difference between when it was bought in 18 or 19 to now. Like, where did that come from, right? So, in my opinion, just looking at that house, like it's at least 500,000 off, right? But the point is, somebody has thinks that it's worth that in this market and has put it on. And house, like I said, is in good shape, but the price to me and obviously to the rest of the market is way off, right? Second house I went to was in a place called Roswell, Georgia, and house was listed at about the same. I think it was 1,775,000 or just under 1,800,000. And in my opinion, right, this one was bigger, more custom, probably with the basement, probably about 6,500 square feet. Say it's 44,000, 4,500 above grade, but built in 2007 or 8. No renovations done since it was bought with a unfinished basement. So it's just studs and concrete in the basement. Again, from my opinion, like probably that house would be 1,300,000. It should be maybe 1,350,000 if we're pushing it. But this house specifically, somebody would have to go in and update it, you know, bring it, paint it, do a lot of work, right, in order to even have a chance of being close to that 1,300,000, 1,400,000 figure, right? So these are two examples of homes that I've seen in the market that, you know, people are trying to go for their lottery ticket price or trying to get a score, right? That's how I say it, trying to get a score, thinking that buyers would would take that, right? And the buyers are obviously rejecting that, right? And these are extreme cases because the prices are high. But I think the lesson here is if you look at like how I speak about properties that have expired, right? This is the thing. There's four factors there, right? One is, you know, the marketing, right? How is it being marketed? Now, these are, you could say they're being marketed. Okay, I went there, buyers are seeing them, but still, like people know they're out there, right? So it's probably not the marketing, right? Prep, right? How you prepare a house. Like that's really important. Most people spend more time trying to sell a car, getting their car ready than they do spending time to get their house ready. So prep matters, right? Think in the second case, hasn't been updated. Nope, it hasn't been painted. They're just trying to put it on the market and get a high price. It's not working in this market, right? So preparation, that's a key piece of, if you want to sell your house, you've got to prepare it. Number three, right, is interest rates. Now think of what interest rates have done since the beginning of this year. There's been a lot happening with Iran, Venezuela, like, a lot of politics, right? But the fact of the matter with rates is we were below six, now we're in the mid to middle high sixes, right? That matters. That means homes, even all things being equal, prices have gone up because rates have gone up, right? So it makes buyers more finicky, more picky. And the last of the four factors is price. Now, both of these examples that I shared with you, these people, I don't, I would think they know that they're looking for a score, that they're stretching it, right? Thinking that, hey, we can get an offer, but they're not getting offers, right? And the question is why? And it's because we have more educated buyers out there who know what the value of things are, right? They know how to evaluate price. And in both cases, like there's, the one that's in good shape, it's really just comes down to price, right? Getting it into a place. And the seller would say, well, why aren't they making offers? It's the reason is buyers think the price is so far off. If they put an offer in, there's no way to negotiate it to get it close to where it needs to be. So that's that case, right? The second case is what I call the hassle factor, right? If the house is not prepared and it's not ready to go, buyers go in there and they judge the things that they can't see by the things they do see. So if they see things are dated, things need to be updated, they're not maintained well, they're going to assume the things they can't see, like HVAC systems or the roof, need work too, right? So the hassle factor is they overestimate the cost of repairs by a factor of at least 4 to 5 to 1, right? So if something costs $1, they think it costs 4 or 5. So they don't even like want to get involved in that, right? Because they're going, if I buy this, I've got to do all this work. And again, it's the factor and the dollar versus the five. It's about they have to find the person, they have to live through the stuff getting fixed and getting renovated. They don't want to do that, right? So, and the last thing is price, right? That's the thing we have the most control over. Well, two things, prep and price. But price, like you have to have a price that makes sense based on the metrics. And and if you don't, you have to be able to make an adjustment and adjust to the market. And with the stat that I started this video with, where you have 10% of listings being pulled and not putting back, it's an indicator that sellers don't want to do that, or they don't have an accurate assessment or perception of what the value of their house should be in this market. So take that for what it is, but trying to give an explanation of why that stat is what it is and what's going on out there. I just think there's a lot of people trying to get too much, not doing the work to get what they want, meaning the prep piece, and then being frustrated that it's not working. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, I hope you found that video helpful. If you'd like any other info about the market or housing, whatever, feel free to DM me. But I thought that this would be helpful for you guys. All right, talk to you later.